Sahnavatu Sahnau Bhunaktu Sah Veeryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Viveka. So in this fourfold qualification, the first qualification we saw is Viveka. So Viveka means to discriminate, and discrimination is always required when two things get mixed up. I am going to do a very short summary. So when two things get mixed up, we have to separate them. So in that context we have discussed that two things which are different from each other, like the stone and the rice, when they get mixed up, it is easy to separate. Two things which are similar, when they get mixed up, it is very difficult to separate them. Milk and water. But when there are two things which have got mixed up, and I don't even know that there are two things, then discrimination does not even start. And why do we say that? Because we don't know that there is something else than the body which enlivens the body. Body, mind, intellect by themselves are inert. And there is a consciousness which enlivens it. We don't know. So the Viveka also doesn't start. Only when we come to satsang, slowly one starts understanding that this equipment can't work on its own, there is something else. For that we give the example of electricity and the bulb. So the bulb by itself can't give electricity, there has to be the light. So there has to be the electricity, because of which the bulb gives the light. Now this discrimination of two things starts when I get the knowledge intellectually at least that there are two things. Hence we say that Vivek happens only when there is satsang. Venu satsang Vivek na hoy. So when we come to satsang, then the first thing that happens is Vivek starts. That I understand there are two things. And that understanding where I can discriminate between the temporary and the permanent, the real and the unreal, that Vivek is called as Brahma Vivek, which will make me realize that there is some eternal factor called Brahman, which is enlivening this equipment, and it is that which is what I truly seek. Now this Vivek to do, the buddhi must be very sharp and subtle. How to develop that sharp and subtle buddhi? So we have Dharma Vivek for it. Dharma Vivek is in my day-to-day experiences of the life. I am right now not capable of discriminating between temporary and permanent in every experience. Because the mind doesn't even know what is the permanent, doesn't have a concept, doesn't hold on to that. It is attached to the temporary. So right now I am not able to do temporary and permanent Vivek. So now what to do? Dharma Vivek I can apply. Dharma Vivek has 5 categories. First one is Dharma and Adharma. that what is my duty, what is not my duty, what is right, what is wrong. That basic discrimination I am supposed to do, not because it is rules, but because when I follow dharma, my mind and intellect is integrated. My capacity to make my intellect sharper and subtler increases. So if somebody says that eating certain type of food is tamasic, we can say, no, this is the rule, I don't want to follow it. Or we can appreciate the intelligence behind it and then start following it. If somebody says don't lie, lying is bad, now it becomes a rule. When a person is very young, the person doesn't have that capacity to know what is the harmful consequence and all that, so it is like a rule. Lying is wrong, you should not lie, you should not cheat, you should not loot. But as I grow up, I understand the logic behind it, that when I do that, I create a split in my personality. Then there is a conscience split, then there is guilt. There are a lot of things which happen. So my energy gets wasted. Out of that understanding, I follow what is right and what is wrong. That is dharma and adharma viveka. And this is very important today, because instead of rising in our ability to discriminate and become subtler, we are becoming grosser and grosser. We are saying that there is nothing called right and wrong. And even if there is something called right and wrong, if in the name of so-called moral policing, I don't want to follow moral policing, who gave them the authority and all kinds of things, one is doing whatever one feels like. So instead of rising from the body identification to higher levels, we are falling down and down. So dharma vivek is very essential. First one, right and wrong, duty and what is not my duty. Second one is shreyas and preyas, good and pleasant. Actually shreyas and preyas is subtler than right and wrong. If I can't do right and wrong, it is not even possible to do shreyas and preyas. Because what is pleasant, the mind will anyway run towards it. But is it good for me? I should find out that. It may be very pleasant to sleep in the morning till late, but it may not be good for me to keep up till late in the night. It may not be good. So what is good and pleasant should be followed. If there is a choice between good and pleasant, how much can I stick to the good? Not just falling for the temptation of the senses or the mind. And that is shreyas and preyas vivek. What happens with that? In the long run, we get the capacity to control our own mind. Because the mind runs behind what is pleasant. When we say no, I will do this, it may be very tempting to eat, let us say, fried food. Especially when hunger pang happens, that time one wants to eat that. At that time, if we are given fruit or something, one doesn't want to eat. But at that time, if I tell my mind, this is good for me, and let me eat, I have to persuade my mind. Then I am doing shreyas and preyas vivek. So very easy it is just to pick up some chips packet and start eating. Then I am not using my vivek at all. Third vivek is amsha and amshi vivek. Okay, sadhana and sadhya vivek. Means and the goal. That what is the means and what is the goal. Most of the time we confuse the means to be the goal. So earning wealth, having fame, enjoying pleasures, even values, all these are the means. What is the goal? Permanent happiness or moksha or freedom, that is the goal. So what is the means and what is the goal must be very clear to us. That the means should not become the goal. 1. 2. The means must lead me to my goal. Many times the means is only taking me opposite direction. I want happiness, but I am extremely stressed out. For the things that I am doing, I feel so stressed out. So where the means is taking me this side, happiness is that side. So the means must not become the goal, and the means should also lead me to the goal. That is sadhan sadhya vivek. Then amsha amshi vivek. What is a part and what is a whole? In that context, what did we discuss? Part and the whole. Different roles we have in our life. One role should not expand to take up everything else. That I am a whole person, I have so many different aspects in my life. One aspect may be more important in a particular stage of life, but many times we ignore. So when I become totally attached to work, and so much work, then I neglect my body, I neglect my family. So different roles I am not able to balance. So between the part and the whole, there must be the balance. That I may give attention to the part, but without leaving the whole. Many different ways one can understand this. I should always keep the macro picture in mind without, and while I am doing something local, I should not forget the bigger picture. Many times we forget the bigger picture. What is the whole vision? The main objective, we forget. So part and the whole. And then the last one was sukha and dukkha, happiness and sorrow. The mind will go where there is happiness. The mind will refrain from that which is painful. So right now my thinking is that happiness is in the sense objects, in the people, in the things, in the situations. So I am running behind it. What do I have to do? I have to, through right thinking, reverse that thinking. That happiness is not outside, happiness is my nature. Quiet mind is a happy mind. And beyond mind is the permanent happiness. So again and again that has to be told to the mind. And whatever is making me quiet and happy, I should start following that in life. It is not only a question of telling oneself. So if I say that happiness is in a state of quiet mind, then I should be able to sit quietly for prayer to make the mind quiet. I should be able to come to satsang, or I should be able to do some yoga or pranayama, anything. Then I am practicing sukha dukkha vivek. And also refrain from what will give pain. What is actually a source of pain but which I am thinking is a source of pleasure. I should refrain from that. Then sukha dukkha vivek is being practiced. This vivek is helping me to do discrimination between the real and the unreal. When a person does these two types of vivek, then the person gets Vairagya. Because if I have done proper vivek, then I will get the conviction to drop what is temporary, what is painful. And drop meaning drop the attachment to that. So Vairagya was defined as the absence of craving for the enjoyments here and hereafter. Viragakaha iha swarga bhogeshu ichha rahityam. So it is absence of raga and dvesha and trying to remove the craving from the mind. Like how we grow out of the toys of childhood, in that way we grow out of the craving for sense pleasures. Craving to, the tendency to enjoy, which makes me extrovert. And how do I practice that? See, why is Vairagya required? We discussed that only when Vairagya is there, there will be concentration and consistency. Without Vairagya, concentration is not possible. If a student does not have, even for temporary, for some time, ability to not run behind some enjoyments, the student can't focus in the study.
Enjoying something momentarily is okay. Getting attached to it is where you have to have the dispassion.
Agreed. That's the point there. We are not talking about not enjoying. We are talking about not having the craving for enjoying. which happens because of attachment, that I want that more and more, and that can distract. Remember, we are talking here from a seeker standpoint. A person who wants that permanent happiness. That's why in the introduction we spoke so many things about different stages of the evolution of a person. In that the point was, a seeker was understood very clearly that wants get fulfilled, wanting doesn't get fulfilled, and wants to attain that which is permanent. While one may go through life with all its varieties and duties and enjoyments and anything, but the passion for it from inside, the craving for it, that I must have it, without it I am not happy, and that hunger which is there for it, without which I feel restless, that is absent in this seeker. That's why in that context we have spoken about the toys of childhood, that a father may play with the child also, with the toys. But the father has no craving for the toys. But the child has the craving for the toys, like that. So Vairagya is necessary for concentration. It is necessary to live a fearless life. Because whatever I am attached to, it will create fear in my mind. I don't want to lose it. That's why even sense enjoyments, we want more and more. And we are scared that it will get over. Gurudev used to joke, he would say that's the reason why Gujaratis eat the sweet, not only with the food, but they eat, Gujaratis eat sweet with the food, but everybody else eats the sweet end. Why? Because they want the taste to linger on for maximum amount of time. So we want that pleasure to continue constantly. And when it gets over, we feel, oh, it got over. So that pleasure, which it has made me bound, and there is a fear also of losing it, there is an anxiety, and many things come with it. So the person who has Vairagya, has focus, has fearlessness, and is that person who can even remain unaffected by various things of life, because has Vairagya and remains very happy. How to cultivate Vairagya? We saw about few points. First is, a strong Viveka is required, then only Vairagya will come. That I constantly discriminate. Even while I am enjoying something, I can tell myself that this is temporary. Because it's very easy to say that, okay, I will enjoy, not get attached. But while enjoying, am I telling myself that this is temporary? If I am telling that to myself, then I am ensuring that I am not going to get attached to it. So one is to practice that Viveka constantly. Second is to see the limitation and the painful side. Now these are two different aspects. When I see the limitation of something, it is to see, it is not to find a fault of something. It is actually to see its factual limitation. That this cannot do more than this. So for example, money has a factual limitation, that it can give only financial security. And it has a utility value. In the world it is required to transact. To a certain extent, that financial security gives me some emotional security. But that is, beyond that it cannot do anything more. That is the limitation of that wealth. Same way, some sense enjoyments, they have a limitation. They can only give temporary pleasure for some time. And that also depends on that enjoyment. Certain enjoyments last longer, certain enjoyments last shorter, but that's their limitation. So I must be able to see the limitation, like my children or my spouse or my family. How much ever I love them, they are independent entities. They will not be able to reciprocate love in exactly the same way as I want. That's why Bhagavindam says that, okay, how much ever they are loving, they will come only up to the grave. Beyond that, they will not even be able to come. So there are limitations of various things. When I see the limitation, I don't get attached. And also there is to see the painful side, that there is pain also. Like money, when we get so attached to money, we start fighting with each other. People quarrel, people have heartbreak, people separate, divide, so many things money does. One may say by itself money doesn't do that. But that way by itself no object is even coming and telling me that come on, enjoy me, I am very beautiful. Now, I am thinking, no, that is, cigarette is not inviting a person to come and smoke. So that way objects don't do anything, but we get attached to them. So, and when we get attached to them, we don't see the painful side at all. Like for example, even death. We are so attached to that life that when we want to even speak about death or think about death, no, it is inauspicious, don't talk, don't think. We don't want to see that side. We may know also deeply that one day we have to die, but no, don't talk, don't think. Because that attachment doesn't allow. This was one more point I had spoken about. But we spoke about that in Viveka, I think. That think of the ephemeral nature of life and think about death. How one day one has to drop this body. So the more I think about these, Vairagya comes. So to see the limitation of something and to see also the painful side. When I do that, then my relationship with it remains in the right perspective. And please, this is not called fault finding. This is very, very important for us to know. This is not to find fault. Fault finding doesn't give Vairagya. Fault finding makes me bitter. Vivek will give Vairagya that this has this limitation. This is the discrimination that I am doing. That this cannot give me that permanent happiness. That's why that Brahma Vivek says that Nityam Vastu Ekam Brahma. There is only one Supreme Brahman which is eternal, which is my nature, which does not change. Everything else is changing. So that is all unreal. So first was this practice of constant Vivek. Second was Dosha Buddhi, Dukkha Buddhi, we keep repeating, keep thinking. And this dosha buddhi and dukkha buddhi are very powerful actually. If I want to get detached from something, I must apply this very strongly. Suppose I am attached to sleep. Then what is the limitation of that sleep? And beyond a certain number of hours I can't sleep. And if I do, it will create more pain. Muscle stiffness and all that will happen. And if I don't get up in the morning, don't do exercise and all that, there is a painful side of it. So dosha and dukkha, the more and more I emphasize, especially with sense enjoyments, it works very, very strongly. It will work even with relationships, it will work even with success. Whatever I am obsessed with, whatever I am attached to, I can apply, I can start seeing the limitation of it and the painful side of it. The mind will say, okay, I don't need to do this, I don't need to get attached to this. It will start withdrawing. Third point was about ensuring that need-based pleasures remain need-based. Need-based things remain need-based. And fourth was about body. That when I get detached from the body, then only I can have Vairagya. Because all pleasures and sense cravings are meant to please the body. And if I hold on to this notion that I am this body and enjoyment of this body is my enjoyment, then no amount of Vairagya will work. The reason why Vairagya doesn't work for many seekers is this only. That I continue to think I am the body and pleasure of the body is my pleasure. Then I am trying to disassociate with some things, some people, some situations. It does not work. That's where I feel it is very unnatural. Because then I am the body and pleasure of the body is my pleasure, then why should I even be away from the objects and people and things? So that seems contradictory. That's why again and again we say that Vivek is the basis of Vairagya. A person who knows clearly that this is changing, so this is not me, the changeless entity is something else, only that person can do Vairagya, have Vairagya. So this detachment from the body is a basis of Vairagya. Dosha buddhi, dukkha buddhi also I will practice only when I think I am not the body. Otherwise I don't want to think about it. And last one we saw was performance of duties. When I do my duty, that also gives me purity of mind and Vairagya. Why? Because in performance of duty, there is no raga and dvesha. Today, because of raga and dvesha, we can't perform our duties. A student has to study. A person who is a householder has to take care of the family, has the duty towards his work, towards the society, towards the country. But when I am attached to certain things, then I am doing only my work for them, rest of it I am ignoring. So I am not able to do my duty towards others. And so a person who does their duty properly and sincerely will naturally get Vairagya. And that's why it is that in the 4 stages of our life, first stage is the study, second stage is the householder stage. Person who has done Grahastha ashram, who is living in a Grahastha ashram, 25-30 years doing the duty, training the mind to get over likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha, that person automatically will turn towards vanaprastha, saying, "Bas, enough now. How much will I do the same thing?" So may not go away into the forest, but the craving for all that goes from inside. But the important point there is I must be able to do the duty with the sense of duty, not to feed my raga and dvesha or to feed my ego. Then nothing happens. Not to fuel my craving. If I keep fueling my craving, it is not going to lead to vanaprastha. It will not lead to that healthy maturity to withdraw from external things and turn within. So these are different aspects of Vairagya that we saw. So Vivek is clarity, Vairagya is the conviction and the capacity to drop the attachment to the unreal. If I have studied properly and I still don't have the conviction to drop my attachment to that which is unreal, that means my study has not been done properly. It is only an intellectual information. The inner transformation that must happen, that I am a seeker of that supreme happiness, that has not happened. It's only studying information. And that's why many times it happens that in a class when we come, we study once a week, or maybe some evening 5 days program or a camp we attend. We get a lot of knowledge, but we have to introspect and find out that did it change my perception about myself completely? That what is my identity right now? See, we always say that the sense of identity is what leads to the sense of purpose. What is my identity today? If my identity is I am a seeker playing various roles, then I will live like a seeker throughout my life, in everything. If my identity is I am a poor person, my purpose in life will be I need money, so I will do everything to get that money. What is my primary identity? We may have many roles, but what is that primary identity? How do I look at myself? If I am looking at myself as somebody who is deprived of love, then my purpose is I want more and more love from everything, everyone. So sense of identity very, very strongly determines what is my sense of purpose. And in spiritual life, the progress will not happen till my identity changes to I am a seeker. Somebody who is a devotee, his main identity is I am a devotee. So his purpose is I want to serve the Lord, I want to have darshan of the Lord. No. So the whole purpose is directed by the identity. If my identity is I am a householder, then my main purpose will be my family must be happy, my work must be done properly. That's my identity, then that's my purpose. So this identity shift must happen in us. That is the deepest level of shift that happens to a person who comes to spirituality. And every other transformation follows this. But if this has not happened, and I am simply practicing some spiritual rituals or some rules I am following, they also may help me to shift finally the identity. But it may also not happen. There are lots of people who keep doing regular puja, but their identity does not shift that I am a seeker. They do that puja for half an hour, 1 hour, that's it. Otherwise, through the day, I am living as any ordinary person who is just enjoying or who is just attached, and I don't see any difference. So this identity shift has to happen. So our study, Vivek, actually helps me to get that clarity that who am I? What is my identity? Apart from the roles that I am playing. If I say that I am a seeker, then every minute my role will be like that. My response will be like that. If somebody tells me something, I don't have to react. I may hold back and learn to give a conscious response because I am a seeker, trying to control my own mind. If there is something good which has happened, I may be happy about it, but I don't have to get excited about it. I maintain my balance. This must come by Vivek and Vairagya. Actually, this should come by Viveka. Then only Vairagya will start. If I am not a seeker, is there a need for Vairagya? No need for Vairagya. And because there is no need for Vairagya, nothing else ahead makes any sense to me after that. So I may go and study the Gita, I may study the Upanishad, I may say Brahman is there and Brahman is one reality and that is me, and so many things I may say. Text after text after text one studies. And then one says Vedanta is very dry. It is not coming in application, Swamiji. It will not come into application because what is required for application is the change of identity. Did that change of identity happen? And that change of identity doesn't require me to run away from any role of my life. As a mother, I am a seeker who is playing the role of a mother. I am a seeker who is playing the role of a friend. I am a seeker playing the role of an employer. But can I maintain that thought that I am a sadhak, I am a seeker? The identity of a student, of a young person, is that I am a student. Then the person has to focus on that one. Only when the identity happens that I am a student and I want knowledge, will that person go to the college and attend the class and gain the knowledge. What is the identity otherwise? I am a free bird. What mindset it is also created. After school, college means freedom. Means no uniform, you can wear colored dress, and you can go, and you can sit in the bike stand, you can eat sandwich in the canteen, you can go for cinema. Bunk. If you bunk, you are good. If you attend classes, you are a bookworm. Mummy's boy. You just see that identity. Now that is the identity that now I am in the college now for enjoyment, not as a student. Identity makes a big difference in whole life. So same thing in spiritual life. I am a businessman. Everything he will think about how to make more money. Gurudev used to joke, sometimes he would say that even if he shakes hands with his son, he will think how to extract some more money from him. But how that person thinks, that if I am a businessman in any situation, how to make maximum money? Identity. So I must be having that identity. As a seeker I am, then Vivek comes, Vairagya comes.
Does the shift in identity happen soon or does it take years for people?
No, it happens with just right thinking. It's not about time. If I sit and think that what is my purpose in life, what do I really want to achieve, my identity will shift. How does it, just think about it, does it take many years for a person to have the identity that I am a businessman? If that person says, okay, in my life I want to do business and I am made for it, I have a temperament for it, bas, it's thinking. That's why we said in the first class, right thinking. No thinking, partial thinking, wrong thinking, right thinking. A lot of us do partial thinking. So I don't think through. I stop. Thoda I do and stop. But when I sit and do the right thinking, that what do I want in my life, then that identity shift happens. And the more I think about it, the intensity, the faster it happens.
So the identity first and then Vivek comes, or Vivek comes so the identity?
It can happen both ways also, but Vivek will not last longer if identity is not strong. Like when we go to a camp, temporarily our Vivek is, awakened. Yes, happiness, how happy I felt. Swamiji Siddhabari, we went 5 days, it was so nice. And there I resolved that yes, I am going to continue this. Every day get up early in the morning, do meditation for 20 minutes and have quietude for 20 minutes and attend some satsang. At least that much I can do in the morning, 1.5 hours. But when I come back, 2 days I get up in the morning. After that, gone. Because the identity shift did not happen. I got a glimpse of it and I felt very nice and I took a resolve that I want to do it. But identity shift didn't happen.
So can we say that the purpose of knowledge is basically to change your identity?
Purpose of knowledge is in the beginning to shift my identity to a seeker of knowledge and ultimately to make me realize that my nature is that knowledge itself. The real identity of ours is we are Brahman. We are that infinite consciousness, permanent happiness, whatever you call it. That identity I have no idea only today. Today I am living as though happiness is outside. I am one finite individual wanting happiness from outside. Now my identity is that I am deprived of happiness, I want happiness from outside. From there I come to the identity that I am a seeker. That happiness is not outside, happiness is my nature. Which I control my mind, I will experience.
So Vivek is required to make you realize that you need to make that identity shift.
Yeah. Vivek is required. That satsang is required, knowledge is required, then that identity, you know also that there is a different identity I can take. Then it is constant reinforcement that I must hold on to that. You see this basic shift in this only is a very difficult aspect. That doesn't happen because we don't pay attention to it. We are very happy to focus on methods or shift some attitude of the mind from negative to positive. But identity shift we don't bother only. In most of the cases in life you will see it is like that. Somebody is doing yoga and pranayama. Now they will do yoga and pranayama for half an hour a day, 1 hour a day. They may be teaching yoga and pranayama also. But their identity will not be that my purpose in life is to unite with that absolute truth. That first sutra of Patanjali, Yogastu Chittavritti Nirodha, that is my goal. To attain that, throughout the day I have to live. It is not 1 hour, 2 hour practice of yoga, it will not happen. That's why Gurudev was asked by somebody, how long should I meditate? He said 24 hours. I mean, how can I meditate 24 hours? Then he said, to have half an hour of quiet meditation, you must live 23.5 hours of alert life. If I don't live that 23.5 hours of alert and vigilant life, where will I get that half an hour of quiet meditation? So it is not, in his words, spirituality is not a part-time job. And he would sometimes come down heavily. He said it is not a Sunday to Sunday mass. It is 24 hours. One has to live that, which means that identity shift has to happen. And then everything falls into place. So before we ask, next time this question comes into my mind that I am learning so much, but why is it not getting applied? First ask whether my identity got shifted or not. Because in whoever's case identity shifts, that person will easily find ways to practice. Because spirituality is full of practical methods. Whenever anybody comes and says, Swamiji, this is all theoretical, tell me something to do, the main problem there is that person has not shifted the identity. Because to do there is a lot, so many things we have just seen. In Viveka 5 points, Vairagya 5 points, easily one can do. But for that identity must change. Now we come to the third qualification, which is a bunch of 6 values. That is called Shatka Sampatti. So take up this in your page, in your book. What is the page? I don't know. 6-fold wealth. 18. Shamadhi sadhana sampatti ka. Shamo damaha. Uparati stitiksha. Shraddha samadhanam. Cha iti. So he says, what is this Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti? Because that was said earlier. When he defined fourfold qualification, he defined all the 4. In the first question when he was asked, Sadhan Chatushtai Kim, the Guru was asked, he said 4. Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, Iha Amutra Phala Bhoga Viragaha, Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti and Moksha. So now the question is Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti ka. Shatka means 6. Shama Adi means beginning with Shama. Adi means beginning. And Sampatti means wealth. So the wealth of 6-fold values beginning with Shama. That's the meaning of Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti. Here it is written Shamadhi Sadhana Sampatti. Sadhana means the means. So what are these 6? Shamaha. Shamaha means mind control. Damaha means sense control. Then Uparati. Uparati means to withdraw. Capacity to withdraw the mind. Then Titiksha. Tolerance or forbearance. Shama is mind control, Dhamma is sense control, Uparati is withdrawal of the mind. So this Uparati is also called in some places as Uparama. They both mean the same. Uparati, Uparama means the same. Means the capacity to withdraw the mind. Then comes Titiksha, tolerance or forbearance. Then Shraddha is faith. And Samadhanam is absorption of the mind. Cha means and. Iti, thus. So these are the 6. So now one by one each is going to be explained. What is Shama? Shama kaha Mano Nigraha. He says, what is Shama? So he says, Shama is mind control. So mind control means what? So our thoughts, they run outside. The capacity to control the thoughts, Mano Nigraha, is called as mind control. Simple meaning of mind control is that, the ability to control my thoughts. So I have a thought, I must eat this, I must go here, I must do that, I must enjoy this. Now that mental thought is the seed, it's the cause for my senses to go out. If that thought does not come, I will not do anything at the body level. If the thought comes, I have to follow that thought, then only at the body level I will do. So if I am reading something and the thought comes to my mind that I must just go and watch some cricket match for 10 minutes. Now thought has come. But when will I get up and go? Only if I follow that thought, I sustain that thought, I feed that thought, then I will get up and go. If I let that thought go, or I say, right now is not the time, I am studying, let me study, then I am practicing mind control. Where mind control does not mean I have to become thoughtless. You see, a lot of people think that mind control means thoughtless. We don't have to become thoughtless. That's the final last stage one has to do. Even there, it is not a question of thoughtlessness. It's a question of just completely stilling the mind to transcend it. It's not a blank state of mind. So we don't have to become thoughtless. Mind control does not mean thoughtlessness. Mind control only means that I am able to control my own thoughts, where I consciously choose what to think and act upon, and what to let it pass. Something should just go. Yeah. So I must be able to direct my thinking, depending on whatever is my purpose. So Gurudev used to define mind as the flow of thoughts, and he would define mind control in these three ways. He would say one is the quality of thoughts, one is the quality of thoughts, other is the quantity of thoughts, and third is the direction of thoughts. Those of you who have studied earlier books, Kindle Light, Self-Unfoldment, simple. The quality of thoughts must be positive. The quantity of thoughts must not be too much, because the more the quantity of thoughts, more the dissipation of the mind. Lesser quantity, stronger is the mind. And the direction of thoughts must be in my control. And when I wanted to focus on something internal, it remains with me. So if I am meditating, doing some japa, pranayam, anything, then my mind remains with me, internal. That time is not running outside in sense enjoyments and thinking about something and escaping. And when I am enjoying something, my mind is doing that. That time it is not thinking about work or anything else. So the ability to control the mind is these three aspects. That if a negative thoughts come to my mind, can I change the quality, not feeding the negative and thinking of the positive? When the mind gets too excited or too anxious or too depressed, can I reduce that quantity? And can I control the direction? When I need it is within, when I need it is outside. Many times it happens, when we are sitting at work, we are thinking about home. When we are sitting at home, we are thinking about work. Our mind is not where we are. These three aspects, if we are able to control, then we have mind control. And all the three happen very easily when we have a goal in life. What we spoke about the identity, it is not enough only to have an identity. Along with identity shift, a goal also comes into life. Like a student has an identity that I am a student, then what is the goal of that student? I must clear MBA, I want to become a management professional, and that is the goal. Now for that goal, this focus comes in life. Same way, if my goal is very clear to me that I am a seeker of happiness, I want to quieten my mind. At a simplest level, if I cannot understand or relate to permanent happiness, can I make my goal that to keep my mind quiet and to keep my mind balanced is the goal of my life. At this moment, this is my goal. Now for that goal to be practiced, I will do all this. If the mind has to be quiet, then quality must be positive. Quantity must be reduced. Direction must be in my control. So a goal will do that. Even an external goal will help us to do that. If I say that I want to make this much money by this much time, now all unnecessary thoughts of distraction and all that has gone. Now the whole focus is how to make that money, how to reach that goal. Quantity also will get controlled. Direction will get focused. So a goal will help us to do all the three. So when a person has a certain goal in life which is inspiring to that person, then these three happen. There are some people who have goals also, but the goal doesn't inspire them. They get perspired thinking of their goal. Oh God, I have to do that. That creates negative thinking, that creates too much anxiety, that creates disturbance. So identity shift happens, then goal must come. And the goal must be such that it is inspiring to me. Then these three happen very easily. So the capacity to control the mind, to channelize it to the goal, that is called mind control, in simple words.
So what is the difference between mindfulness and mind control?
So in one way they are same. In one way they are same because, see, in mindfulness, little subtle difference is only this. In mindfulness, whatever I am doing right now is done with full attention. It can be a small act of just talking, writing, eating, complete attention. And when I have a goal in my life, everything is directed towards that goal. Mindfulness will help me to achieve that goal of my life. And when I have a goal, it is not necessary that 24 hours I am thinking about that goal. Maybe maximum time of my day I am thinking about that goal. But mindfulness is supposed to be 24 hours. In everything that I do, I have to be mindful. Mindful eating, talking, walking, sleeping, listening, everything, mindfulness. And it works both the ways. When we have a goal, we become more mindful of our own thoughts. And when mindfulness increases, we start applying that and achieving our goal better because efficiency increases. So this is mind control, the capacity to control the mind. Now if you see the commentary of Gurudev, Gurudev has given, Guruji, so Guruji has given these two aspects, that there are two sources of so-called disturbances or two sources of thoughts in us. One is the external sense perceptions. So I see something, then a thought comes to my mind. So I may not have any desire, let us say for a, what? No, I may not have a desire for an ice cream candy, okay. But when I go out and then I see, then the thought comes, let me have it. So one is sense perception which creates a thought. And other is my past memory. That I don't need to see anything, but I am sitting and a thought comes, 5 days back I had such a nice experience. If I eat this again, it will be so good. So again the mind brings out from the past experience. So these two sources of thoughts, generally the mind gets preoccupied with either of the two or both. So if I am sitting quietly, withdrawing all my senses, trying to meditate, then it may be the past memory which comes up. Or I am transacting with the things, then it is sense perception. In both these, when the thoughts come to us, general tendency of the mind is to keep encouraging it, to keep going with it. Mind control here means being alert and vigilant so that I don't fall for any of these which are not going to take me to my goal. That's why that goal is important part. So when I don't have a goal, any thought comes across, I am just following it. Even you see in the morning, suppose that you get up in the morning and you have a clear agenda. Okay, today I need to achieve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the time slot when I will do it. Then what happens? We are very focused and we go through it. Otherwise, the moment we get up in the morning, we take the phone, we start checking the phone, we start browsing, then we start replying the messages, then newspaper is there, one takes the newspaper, then reads the newspaper. There is no time control on it, it goes on. Because the focus is not there. So I am just doing. I'm not saying it is bad or anything. I'm just saying if there is a clear purpose, then our thoughts, our action, they all come into focus. Otherwise one just goes along. Okay, let me do this, let me do that, let me talk to somebody, and time just goes.
So Swamiji, here I have a question. Many of the things that we are talking about the what. But where we tend to, and even to say that you are not able to go to how, is because you don't have a purpose or a focus or whatever. But then even how to get yourself to say, think that I need a focus, or so that the how is the tricky bit. What is what we know and we keep hearing, and that goes back to your saying that you'll go to an ashram or I stay here for an hour in a week and then I do some other classes in a week. So what becomes very easy, but it's the how which is very tricky.
Yes, so how to get a purpose again depends on our thinking only, no?
But how to get thinking to think that we need to have a purpose.
So if I tell you how to get thinking to get, then you'll say how to do that. Think about it. Actually, it's only a question of paying attention to one's own life. Basic point is only that much, right? It's not about sitting here 1 hour or anything. It's only paying attention to my own life and not escaping to do so many other things. Not getting stuck in the, what to do, when to do and all that. But to know, first of all, why do I need to do it? What is my purpose? That hardly one sits and thinks, and that there is no other way to it. Thinking is the only way to thinking. Action or reading something or seeing a movie or something can be an inspiration. Or a satsang. It can be just an inspiration. Now beyond that, what will it do? I actually have to sit down and think, what do I want to do with my life? Is this the best that I can do with my life? And if the answer says no, then I have to start finding options. What are the options available to me? From there I start my purpose. I should even be able to understand, it will come now, swadharma anushthanamev, that what am I made for? What am I made for then determines my purpose, and then I start acting in it, that gives me satisfaction, so it goes. But how will I know all that? Until I sit and think about it. It will not happen only. Some people know it intuitively, or some people are introduced to that field to which they take liking very naturally. But apart from that, there are no other methods as far as I know, that one has to actually sit and think about it. That what will be my goal, what will be my purpose, why do I even need a goal, all that.
I think what happened is to set all the material goals, it was all very easy in life. You could set this and it was something that you could action. But now that you're moving, it's a little difficult to think, in terms of how do you set the goal, because there's a lot of unknown in that. And materially, all the people around you, they set you in a certain direction, but it's something very different. So.
And also, you have to, if we are saying that doing one's duty is the most important, so that's already set a boundary. Because you think of a purpose which is in the boundaries of what is your duty at that age and stage in life.
Definitely, because that boundary only gives again the focus. Suppose the boundary is not there, it becomes very difficult. Lots of people, they know the boundaries, but they are not able, they don't want to follow those boundaries, and don't they land up doing things which are not sensitive. It hurts other people also. So the boundary is a well-defined boundary, and boundary will always be there. Till a person doesn't realize absolute truth, some or the other boundary will be there or not. Suppose I say I am a seeker. Now there is a boundary. I can't do beyond this. So I can't do things which are immoral. I can't do things which are going to lead me to greed or lead me to agitation, negative. There is a boundary. So boundary will always be there. It has to be a meaningful boundary, well understood by me, of why that boundary is required. And within that boundary there is a lot of scope. Like duty itself. Now I may be looking at duty only from the standpoint of I am a son or I am a father or I am a mother or I am a daughter and I am a professional. But I have a duty towards myself. I have a duty towards the culture. I have a duty towards the country, towards the environment, towards the world. Now the boundary is vast. I may have chosen my boundary to be only this much, and then I may feel within this now how much can I do. But actually that is my restriction that I have put on myself. The boundary is not so small, boundary is quite vast. And I can think a lot of other things. Only thing, as he said, is we have not been told many of these, so sometimes it is very new. So it takes time to figure out how to do. For that is where I need the knowledge of what all is possible. That what can I do for my country, what can I do for my own self. So body, mind, intellect, spirit, at all the 4 levels, what am I doing for myself. Now those things I have to sit and think for myself. And the goals can anyway not be given by anybody else to us. But the facilitation can be done in terms of, as we said just now, okay, I can have a goal in my life here to be calm. For the next 1 year I am going to practice to be calm in all situations of life. Or if I feel that I need to have the quality of forgiveness, that for the next 1 month I will practice forgiveness. There is some post which went viral recently on Facebook. That was one man standing with a board that for next 48 hours I will not complain. I don't know if you saw it. I got that at least from 10 people. So I thought it went viral. One man is standing. His face is not there, just that board is there. Next 48 hours I will not complain about anything in my life. I will learn to accept life as it comes. So that was his purpose. And so many people took up that challenge, saying that okay, no complaining for 48 hours. No complaining at all. So now I can set those smaller goals in my life, and to get that bigger picture, I need to think. So as I said earlier, it is not a matter of time, it's only a matter of how much clear am I and how much I reinforce that thinking to become intense. That my purpose is to experience permanent happiness which is within me. That's why all those earlier classes are important there. That do I really feel that permanent happiness is what I want? That takes some time to arrive at, only because mind is still attached to things outside. So one has to reinforce again and again that what I really seek is permanent happiness.
Thinking and discipline is the mind.
That thinking constantly is required. It is not going to be easy, because you just imagine, it is not a question of this life alone. For how many lives one has hammered, one has been hammered that happiness is outside, and constantly I am being pushed to live in a way where happiness is outside. Now having come to Vedanta, first time I am hearing that happiness is my nature. And not only my nature, it is a quiet mind, is a happy mind. Till now one did not even know that quiet mind is a happy mind. One thought happiness means some sense of excitement, some pleasure, some all that. So it will take a lot of time in that sense, but it will not take time in terms of quantity, but if I think intensely, it will happen. Because that's where the power of the buddhi is. Till now we have been living at the body and the mind level, so it has been long we have been extroverted. But when the buddhi gets awakened, it's very sharp. Then we can control.
So if your buddhi gets awakened now, like starts, will it last in your next lives? And
Yeah. Definitely, it continues. This happens for everything. It doesn't happen only for the spiritual knowledge of buddhi. That's why one of the reasons one says that life is a continuity and it doesn't stop by dropping the body. Otherwise, how could so many child prodigies are there? Then if we have to believe in chance and random theory and all that, then that is becoming illogical. There is a continuity. What we do, we take forward with us. Just the equipment drops. Yeah, samskar. So Viveka and Vairagya we spoke about, and the sixth quality, third quality has sixfold qualifications. In that there is the first one is Shama. Shama is the mind control. Mind control is through the goal, being able to channelize our thoughts towards the goal and to be away from thoughts which are not aiding me in reaching the goal. In that context we saw two aspects was, one is the thoughts come because of sense perception, other is because of the past memory. So I should be able to recognize these and not flow with the thoughts as they come. And that's where that goal helps. So mind control is controlling of the thoughts. Now controlling of the thoughts, someone may find it very difficult. Then it is easier to start off with controlling the senses. That is the next quality. Ramakaha Chakshuradi Bahya Indriya Nigraha. So what is Dhamma? We said Dhamma is Chakshuradi, eyes, etc. So there are 5 senses of knowledge. Bahya Indriya, which are external organs of perception. Nigraha, control. So what are the external 5 organs? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. These are external organs. So controlling the external organs, so I control my eye. Suppose there is something which is not appropriate and I close my eyes. That is eye control, sense control. If somebody is gossiping, then I become alert. I keep quiet. I will not engage. If I can move away, I move away. But if I can't move away, no talking, no gossiping. So the control of the senses. If I am doing some meditation and some pakoda smell is coming, then I don't have to get carried away by that. And control. So how to control each of these sense organs so that mind control becomes easy? Because perception is something which creates a lot of thoughts in us. That's why in English they have a nice saying, out of sight, out of mind. The moment I see, then so many other thoughts come. So how to control the senses so that I see what is appropriate and what is not appropriate to my goal, I move away from that. My senses don't engage in that. This sense control is a very, very beautiful aspect of life, and actually if we want to start practicing spirituality from the most fundamental level, it will start from Dhamma. Viveka, etc. will actually become easy and stronger only when I practice the sense control. Our problem is that sense control doesn't happen. So we may study happiness is not outside, but the senses say, you may say anything, but for me happiness is outside only. So it just goes wild. Senses are actually like wild horses. They are just out. So what to do, how to do this sense control, why sense control, how to practice, that we will take up in our next session. In what we have done so far, any doubts?
Swamiji, what is the source of thoughts? They are coming from outside, that means there is some location source.
No. So, see, thoughts are not coming from outside. The cause of the thoughts can be outside. Like suppose I see this idol, now that perception is creating a thought in my mind that this is Krishna and I love Lord Krishna and this is what Lord Krishna did. So now that object is creating thoughts in my mind. So the object is only acting as a medium. Thought is not coming from the object. Thought comes from within, from the mind. And then we say that deeper as we go along, we will know that it comes because of the samskar. So somebody who sees this idol, who has no idea of who is Krishna, will not have that many thoughts as somebody else who knows it has. So their own samskar is creating the thoughts. Medium can be outside.
They are already there. I mean, you thoughts in some seed form are there.
Some are there, some are not there, some are planted also now. Like when we study now, when you are studying here, the new thoughts are getting planted. That goal of life is happiness, happiness is not outside. Those are new thoughts which are getting added. So now that new samskar basically, now that will give rise to further thoughts.
Swamiji, if you suppress certain thoughts, aren't you keeping them suppressed somewhere which will come up sometime?
Yeah, so the suppression is not the point here. Point is of sublimation. Like when I have a goal, I say this is not required for me.
So it's more of
Channelizing the thoughts.
to a higher goal.
Suppression is I have no goal. Without logic, without holding on to anything higher, I just push. No, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But why don't do this, I don't know.
So experiencing everything is not important. When you say I've experienced, now I know it's not taking me towards my goal.
Definitely, experiencing everything is not important.
Not important.
It's
Do
not
we
possible
experience
also.
poison?
It's not possible also.
Not possible, and it should not be done.
Some people do.
Everything is not possible.
People use this very conveniently.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Some things they say, how can we say without experiencing? But many other things they are saying without experience. We don't have to. That's why Buddhi is given to us. I can discern, I can discriminate, saying it is not required. Okay, so December 13th we are having this corporate workshop on emotions at work, and those of you who can, please do participate or encourage your employees or friends or anybody. It's a good way to introduce them to this spiritual knowledge in a corporate setup, in a corporate type of environment, and many things which are relevant. The power of emotions hijacks our decision making. A lot of things happen because of emotion. Ultimately, we all work with people and we work, emotion is very high. So how to manage these emotions positively to achieve our goals? So I am doing it with Dr. Abha in an interactive format. We will do it. So as many people as you can encourage, that would be good. This handouts are available for it here. Anybody would like to take them, you can take it and spread the word, please. And email also you must have received. You can forward that also. Our next class is on?
Is it there because earlier, there's a little confusion. 7th we have the class already.
We did.
Yeah, 7th we have the class, but we will have it, like we will conclude at 10:45. So 1 hour 15 minutes because I have a next program to attend at 11:30. So December 7th, yes, we will have. So we have 7th, 14th, 21st. December 3 classes. 7, 14, 21.
28
All 3 Sundays of December, 7, 14, 21. 28th, yeah, no, 28th is not there. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari